when I heard about the legacy income, I'm like, well, how can they afford to do that? How could they pay somebody for life and then I could pass it on to my children? I don't believe it. All these things. And now 5 years later, I just reached legacy income a couple of months ago. And to have the reality now where I have this guaranteed income, not only for me, but that I get to then pass it on to my children when I go, um, I'm still a little bit stunned by it, quite frankly. It's happening. I received the checks and I'm still kind of shaking my head going, oh my God, this is my reality. This is my life. And it just keeps getting bigger.
Welcome back to another episode of Abundance on Tap, everyone. My name is Alex Corey, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Ashley DeMarco, coming to you from the mountains of Western North Carolina. And pretty excited to hear our guest story today. We'll introduce her shortly, but a few housekeeping things. We have rebranded. So we were formerly the Appalachian Water Collective and finished our in-person events and the more regional specific things we were focusing on, and realized that our impact and our reach was much broader. So we are now the Vital Flow Water Co. Water doesn't do well stagnant, and we're trying to push it everywhere. So it resonated a little more with the vision and the impact we were trying to do. And if you can hear, my voice is a little scratchy because it is 2 days after the 11/11 portal, and there was a lot of energy moving. Almost everyone I know has been sick this last week, myself included. So I will turn it over to Ashley to introduce our guest for today.
Yes, I'm so excited to have Brooke here. It's been some time coming wanting to do this, and I actually connected with Brooke before she started this opportunity, and that was just through the world schooling community online. So I was just watching her journey and really inspired by it because I was also on a world schooling journey with my child, and just like, okay, how do I make this work, right? How do I travel the world, unschooling or schooling, whatever I wanted to do with my children and make an income while doing that? And so I watched her journey really from the very beginning, and it's been such an inspiration. Brooke, you have done so much, and I don't even know, what was it, only 5, maybe 6 years that you've been part of this. So it's just been such an incredible journey, and the way that she built and is very, very different than the way that I started. So I just am very, very excited to share your story. So thank you so much, Brooke, for being here. I would love for you to share, what your life looked like before you found the water.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to share my story, and mostly because I still like, this is my response. Like, if for those of you who can see me, I'm like shaking my head. I'm like reflecting back on, yes, it will be 5 years in December. I started December 18th, 2019 in this business. And my life before and I just, like, honestly, I don't think there's one single thing, one area, there's not even one tiny little area of my life that isn't radically different from 5 years ago. And just to paint a little picture, I mean, for those of you who are parents, I have 2 children. My children were 9 and 6 when I started this business, and I was a unschooler, so they had never been to like a program, or they don't go to school. They don't go away from me. They stay with me, and we lived our life in this really alternative way, and it was a conscious choice. Yeah, it was even before I had children, I knew that I wanted to unschool them. I knew that I didn't want them in the school system. I'm a medical freedom advocate, and I live in California. So the whole world of vaccines and what they're doing to our children to require them to go to school, I was not in alignment with. So I was never going to never, ever, 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 ever wanted to go down that route. And I didn't want to give up time with my kids, but I also really needed to change our money story because I had a mountain of debt and the stress and the anxiety of that every day. And then mostly this sense of restriction, this massive sense of restriction that I had every day in my life around the money, like not being able to do the things that we wanted, not being able to go to the jumpy house or go see the museums that I wanted to take them to, or heck, just give myself a break and take us all out to dinner so I don't have to cook and clean and like all these things. There's just, it was it was really, really, really challenging for me. And I definitely got the message from the world that, oh, this is just what motherhood is. You just have to suck it up, and this is just what you have to do. This is just, you put the kids first, and this is what you have to do. And I was like, wait a minute, but what about the mom? What about the dad? What about like what? Like, how do we put the kids first, and what, the parents are just like thrown to the side, and we give up on our goals and our dreams? And I get it, that it was all for the best of intentions. And I didn't know any better. And I wish that I had had somebody who could kind of whisper in my ear and say, it's not going to work like this. It's not going to work long-term like this. And, but I didn't. And so I had my own experience. But my point is that when I looked at this business initially, I was not the same woman that I am now, not by a long shot. And I had so many limitations. I didn't think that I could do this business at all. I didn't even know how to save a picture on my computer at the time. And I could hardly say that. I had so much shame and embarrassment about it. Like, I had all these judgments about myself because technology is not my thing. It's still not my thing. And then I had all my limiting beliefs around money, right? Because I had $57,000 in credit card debt. So if you have debt, or you don't have the money that you want, you can know that your relationship with money is not super healthy. That's a given. And mostly me, like my internal freedom, that's really what well, as I reflect back on it now, I'm thinking, gosh, who I was 5 years ago, I didn't have the sense of joy and ease and possibility. I wasn't living in hope and possibility, not by a long shot. I was definitely just getting by on the hamster wheel of life, just kind of going through things and hoping and praying for something different. And so when this fell into my lap, everything changed, and it changed fast. And I was so scared. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the time. Those were my two biggest limitations. And then the technology, and I had this idea that I had to know all this stuff that wasn't actually true. It was just, it's just the way we do things. We make up these stories and these ideas about things when we don't even really know. So I was stuck in that. But what I saw with the business, there was something, my higher self was calling me forward, without a doubt. My higher self was like, this is it. This is the path. This is what you're doing. And I'm like, this? And they're like, yes, this is what you're doing. Just go, just get out of your own way and just go and leap. And I hadn't traveled. So traveling, that we met in the world schooling group, I had forgotten that. Thank you for reminding me about that. But that had always been my vision, to be able to world school. I'm a world traveler. I traveled all the time until I became a mom. And then as soon as I became a mom, I just felt like I had these shackles on, like I was chained back to California, not a terrible place to be chained to. I live in a beautiful area, but I had this vision of living a really alternative life with my children and my family. But I couldn't do that. I was so stuck. I was absolutely stuck, and I hadn't traveled in 8 years since becoming a mom. And in my first year in this business, in my very first year in this business, I took 4 huge trips across the globe. And I'm talking like Australia, Bali, New Zealand, and and I couldn't even have imagined it. Like, I was solely responsible for the children. My husband at the time was working all the time, around the clock, to support us, which I'm so grateful for. But my job was the kids. So the idea that I could travel without them wasn't even in, like, no, I'm like, no, it didn't, I couldn't figure out how to do it until I did, right? This is the thing. It's like, sometimes we can't, that old saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. Like, I couldn't see what was possible for myself because I had these blinders on. Like, it's like, I look at it like a car window, the windshield. Like, how clean is your windshield? Like, how clean are you able to see the possibilities? How clearly can you see what you can actually create in your life? Or how muddy is that windshield with your past, with your limitations, with, the experiences that you've had in your life? And for me, I had a very muddy windshield, and I had to just like keep clearing it out so that I could see what was possible. And, I did. And now things are really different. Now I don't check my bank account. Now we travel whenever we want. I'm leaving on Thursday for 3 weeks. and my lifestyle and my life and myself. That's the most important thing, right? Is like my inner freedom. Everything that I feel, see, think, do, my actions, like everything is different because of this business.
So incredible. So incredible. So like, I mean, I just want to reiterate, like she didn't travel for 8 years, $57,000 in credit card debt, like no technology skills, no, like, like she says, she thought she couldn't even save a picture on her phone. And here she is today, walking proof that this is possible. I mean, the first year in the business, you took 4 trips, but I'm sure you're taking more than 4 trips
Yes.
5 years in. But I just want to go back to like those moments before you said yes. So when you were presented with the opportunity and you had all of these limiting beliefs, like what was it? Like what was your line in the sand moment that actually made you say yes? Like you saw the potential, like was there somebody or a story or like what was it that actually got you to pay for it? Like did you
Yeah.
put on a credit card? Did you get a
Yeah.
loan? Like how did you make this happen when you had all of these things stacked
I
against?
know. It's a good question. I appreciate that question. And it actually makes me emotional as I'm reflecting on it. Because, we all have these moments in our life where we get to choose. We get to choose to rise or we get to choose to stay stuck. And in the moment, I remember the moment. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My kids were tearing around the house. My house was a freaking disaster. As for any of you who are homeschoolers or unschoolers, like when kids don't leave the house, your house is a freaking disaster. you know, um, I'm not saying we didn't leave the house. We did, but we just, it's a different lifestyle. So I remember that day with them tearing around, and I just remember how distraught I was. I remember being in the kitchen, just like looking around going, how the fuck did I get here? How did I get here? How did this happen? How did I get here? I love my children. I always wanted to be a mom. Like that was a conscious, intentional choice. So it wasn't about the kids. It was about what I had said yes to in terms of this like social conditioning of what motherhood is or what life has to be or what you have, how you create your life. Like there's just all these ideas that are so spoon fed to us. And in that moment, I was in my kitchen looking around, and I honestly don't know like why it impacted me in that moment, but I remember the moment where I'm like, you know what? Nothing is going to change here. Nothing is going to change unless I change it. Like nothing. And it's up to me. At the end of the day, it's up to me. I was waiting for somebody else to change things for me, and it's up to me. And it was as simple as that, like just looking around and then the impact. I remember the feeling in my heart. I remember just saying, you know what, Brooke, it can't get worse. Actually, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose, because I wanted the water anyways. Like once I saw the water, this is the thing. Once you see the water and you understand what the water does, I'm a health nut. And I wanted the water for myself and for my family anyways. So I already wanted the water, but I didn't have the money for the water, right? And so I thought, this was my limitations at the time. I thought, okay, Brooke, worst case scenario, you're going to invest and get this water. Like there's no way to lose. You get the water. Like I get the water system. It's like the water unlocks this whole business. There's no business like this that exists. Like I just can't, every time I talk about it, you can hear me, right? I get more and more passionate about it. Every time I talk about it, I'm like, there is no business like this. The fact that I can invest one time, purchase this damn water machine, drink it for the next 25, 30 years, have my children drinking it, and then it unlocks all the commissions. It unlocks being able to sell it worldwide. It unlocks all the personal development. It unlocks this unbelievable patented compensation plan. I can start building this to legacy income. This was my vision. Like when I saw that there was a company that offered legacy income, I didn't really believe it. I was like, oh, how can they do that? That was my, right? This is what happens for most of us because we're so conditioned to be skeptical and negative and doubt. And when I heard about the legacy income, I'm like, well, how can they afford to do that? How could they pay somebody for life and then I could pass it on to my children? I don't believe it. All these things. And now 5 years later, I just reached legacy income a couple of months ago. And to have the reality now where I have this guaranteed income, not only for me, but that I get to then pass it on to my children when I go, I'm still a little bit stunned by it, quite frankly. It's happening. I received the checks and I'm still kind of shaking my head going, oh my God, this is my reality. This is my life. And it just keeps getting bigger because this is the way the compensation plan works and the way our business works is it just keeps growing. So I feel like I lost my train of thought to what your question was. Your question was initially like, what was my moment, right? What was the moment that made things change? I just think it was a combination of multiple things. But for me, when I saw that legacy income was an option, I've built a lot of businesses. I'm 51 years old. I started working when I was 13 in my dad's sports store. And I have a lot of experience. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life and I've done many, many, many different things. And I never really had significant success in any of them. But I worked hard and I busted my butt. And the one business that I had before this, it took me 5 years to make 6 figures. 5 years while I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, just killing myself. And then when I finally hit that, that's the only time in my life that I earned 6 figures before this business. And I remember that moment where I hit the 6 figures and I was like, are you kidding me? I'm out. Like I couldn't believe how much I just saw the uphill battle and I'm like, this is not worth it to me. I'm out. And here I earned my first 6 figures in 9 months. That's the compensation plan. That like we have to understand and open our perspective and see what's possible. And so when I saw the compensation plan, I was motivated by money, right? Because our family was in so much struggle around it. And it matters to me. Like, I believe we have a moral and ethical responsibility to make more money so that we can help more people. Because we can't really help people and serve and give back to the world when we're in lack and scarcity and trying to figure out how we're going to pay our bills. And it's always been my dream to be, I always wanted to be the one that can write out a check if somebody needs help or find I see a GoFundMe and I click it and I donate or I always wanted to be the one that gets to pay for trips or gets to pay for dinner out or spoil my friends or like, I love abundance and I want everyone to live in abundance. And when I saw the compensation plan and legacy income was an option, it just made sense to me. I'm like, why would I not? Like, why in the world? I already want the water. I want the community. I want the personal development. I want my life to change. What in the world is stopping me? Like, why in the world would I not try it? Like, what the hell do I have to lose? There was nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, this is what I thought. Worst case scenario, if I invest in this business and I don't make any money, I have the water for the rest of my life. And that's a win. That's how I saw it. And then of course I just started sharing it and my business absolutely took off. And I didn't want to talk about the water. And I didn't talk about the water. I actually have never spoken about the water until just recently in the last month or two. And even that barely. But you don't have to. Like, you can talk about the water or you can not talk about the water. You get to build this the way it feels most resonant with you.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel a little lost in the water world, like you weren't taught this in school or professional curricula or basically anywhere, and you feel like it's a little more crucial probably to know about the foundation of your body and ecosystems and civilization, to not minimize it, at large, we made a course called Foundations of Water that walks you through everything that we've had to accumulate and go through in the last 2 to 5 years, all the different resources, how to cut through all the marketing, look at third-party certification, learn what the health regenerative aspects of water is, how to discern filtration, how to do molecular hydrogen and ionization, all the really cool aspects of water that we always talk about to help you be a little more optimal version of yourself if you are on that health pursuit or business pursuit or in food systems and growing. Water touches all aspects of life. If any of that's interesting to you, check out the notes below for the Foundations of Water.
Yes, I love that because for everybody listening, watching, like, there were so many things that you overcame and you just said yes. And no matter all the things you didn't know, right? You saw the legacy income was there, but like how to, the path to get there, right? And you had the community, the personal development, all these different things. So one of the biggest things that you said before you got started is you felt so restricted. You could not, even take the kids to the bounce center, whatever it is. Tell us now, 5 years in, like how that restriction is just, it's like God, right? Like you feel so open-hearted, and like meeting you in person in Vegas, like you were just like, I love when we meet each other in person because we kind of just like walk out of the little Facebook screen or the Zoom screen.
Yes.
So open-hearted, and you had just received, that award and walked across stage and gotten, awarded and recognized in front of thousands of people for your success. So can you tell us what is the opposite of restricted that you now feel in this?
Thank you for asking this question. It's making me cry because it's just like, it's my deepest desire that everybody feels this, that everybody has the opportunity to understand what they get to create. Like, we don't have to live with these restrictions in our life. It's incredible. I still have moments like this might seem like a small thing to some of you, but for me, like, I took my son into REI and he just got into rock climbing, and there's these special pants that he wanted, and the pants happened to be $100. Well, I would never spend $100 on my children for a pair of pants because they're growing and like they're going to wear them for 6 months, right? And that's just my values, and like, I won't do it. And I couldn't do it. This is the other thing. Like, I couldn't do it. So when your children want something and you have to be like, not right now, and just like kind of skirting around it, I would never say I can't afford it. I would never, ever, ever say. I knew the power of my words. I knew that I wanted to imprint my children with abundance no matter what. So I would never put the limitations on them. They never knew that we were struggling. They never knew that we were, going through heartache and hardship around things. But to be able to go in there and have him pick out 3 pairs of pants and go and just pay for it and off we go, and not have it be a blip on my radar. I still, like, because it was so many years that I lived in scarcity, it's still like new to me. And even for other people, they're like, oh, that's not a big deal. Well, everybody has a different, frame of where they're coming from. But for me, I was coming from like thrift stores and lack. And so to have the freedom now, what I can say is playfulness and joy. Those are the 2 words that come up. Playfulness and joy every single day. Playfulness and joy, ease. It's like, we're in abundance. We're in abundance. We can do what we want. Do we want to go here? No. Do we want to go there? No. Do we want to go to Japan? Maybe. Should we go to Mexico? Yeah, let's go to Mexico. Oh, let's go to Raging Waters this weekend. Like, none of the conversations, I could never have these types of conversations with my kids before because there was always this restriction around the money. And so the joy and playfulness and the lightness in me, this is the other thing. It's like, it's not just about the money, of course, right? The money is a beautiful byproduct of the inner freedom within ourselves that automatically happens with this business. That's what I've seen. But the parent that I get to be because of the woman that I get to be now, that is what it's about. That is what it's about. And I would love to say that I could be this light and playful, 5 years ago. I did my best. I was pretty light and playful. I used to teach parenting workshops on it, but there was still this undercurrent of stress and anxiety in my nervous system, right? That the children obviously would feel no matter what, despite my best interests or efforts rather. So yeah, the joy and playfulness, I think that's really missing in our culture from a lot of adults. I don't see people playing. I don't see them having a whole lot of fun. And gosh, this is what we're here to do, like, we need to be having fun every single day. Like, what are we doing if we're not having fun in our lives?
I really hear that part. It was interesting. Whenever you said that, it flashed into my memory. So I just got back from a men's retreat over the weekend, and there was a lot of hard stuff, but it's very interesting the circumstances under which guys let their masks off. And whenever mostly just one person starts it and actually opens up and you start clearing the windshield, like you're talking about, like the stories start disappearing, especially as people start sharing and you all have the same stories. And when one person shares something, that story for you gets removed. And if there's 14 people, by the end of it, there's a realization, like you said, like, it's actually just one decision on my part. Like
Yes.
if you
Yes.
can have that many people just like clear the windshield for you, and there's like an enormous amount of responsibility that you're like, I could actually just do this and
Yeah.
change everything. I'm in my own way. And then after that, everyone started giggling and
Yeah.
throwing a frisbee around. It's really interesting how those stories just keep you from joy and play, and how
Yes.
quickly they come down, especially
Yes.
if there's like a group of people. If you're around people that are doing the same, they all want the same thing, right? Everyone wants that
Right.
joy and playfulness. And the vehicle, like you mentioned, I think is the biggest part. I get spammed with, well, not spam. I follow a bunch of entrepreneurs and they spam with social media with still the grind mentality, like
Yes.
180 to 100 hours, like you were mentioning,
Ugh.
just,
Yeah.
and there is something to the grind when you first start as an entrepreneur, but my adrenal system doesn't appreciate it. And whenever I have like a call from someone, I just started using some automated software to call business partners in. And the only thing they care about after they go through all the intro and learn about the business model, the software does all that, is this real? Like
Hmm.
they learn the vehicle, and
Yeah.
all they need from you is, how can this be real?
Yeah.
And what I always say to people is, it seems too easy, but that's because you haven't done the like 80 to 100 hours of organic work that you think you need to feel like you could have that level of ease.
Right. Right.
But you don't need to do that. Like it's real regardless. But the question
Yeah.
is, can you accept it whenever
Yeah.
whenever the amount of ease and abundance presents itself, or will, like me, get in my own way and be like, I don't feel like I've worked hard enough for this. But that is pure conditioning.
Oh my
Building a
gosh.
business is hard enough, right? The inner work is
Oh my gosh.
hard. The money doesn't have to be reflection of, you don't have to
No.
make money hard. The inner
Right.
work is always hard.
Absolutely. I love that you shared that, because this deep conditioning that we have to work hard for money, and these old beliefs, I have to work hard, I have to work hard, I have to grind away. And I remember, in fact, when I did my first call. So I want you to know that I took a full year off in this business. So I worked for, I worked, I worked solid for 2 years. That was like I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build the foundation, and I'm going to do this in the pockets of my time while I'm unschooling my children. What they told me, what my mentors told me is, if I could put in 2 hours a day consistently, that I could build this. And I'm like, well, I can do that, because I was vegging out on Facebook every night after I got the kids to bed, right? And just like wasting my time, wasting my life, and just going down the vibrational hole of Facebook back then. Now, when I go on Facebook, my feed is full of hope and inspiration in our online tribe, right? So we can use social media for good. But at the time back then, I was in a different world, and none of my Facebook was positive. Let's just say that. It was all about advocacy and all the problems in the world, and fighting the fight, And now, yeah, I recognize that we can use it in a different way. But I put in 2 solid years of work. And I share this because it's really important. My mentor at the time, she was also a single mom of 4 children. And I said, I was so aggressive back then. I was like, I want to know the truth. Give me you better not be lying to me. And because I had also been scammed. I was scammed 4 years prior to learning about this business for $70,000. So I was operating from an experience that made me feel where I felt a lot of shame. Nothing makes me feel anything. By the way, nothing makes you feel anything. I own my feelings. But my experience that I had, I was feeling a lot of shame and a lot of guilt over getting scammed, like my own responsibility. Like, how could I fall for this? How could I have done that? How could I have been so stupid? All these self-judgments. And what that experience did for me is it made me play very, very small for 4 years. Very small. I was like, oh my gosh, just put my head in the sand and just like scampering around like a little scared squirrel. That's how I felt. And so when I saw this business, I was very edgy, and I was very skeptical and super cautious. And so I had a million questions for the woman who was not only my sponsor that introduced me to this business, but her mentor. And she was a mom well, is a mom of 4 children. And I'm like, I just need to know the truth. I need to know the truth. How many hours are you working a day? Because I'm not giving up this time with my kids. And she's like, honestly, between you and me, about 3 hours a day is what I work. And 1 hour of that is like my morning routine and my self-care practice. And I was like, okay, tell me more. Okay. Tell me more. Because I believed her, I believed another mom. I believed her. I saw her success. And then she just said, listen, we're going to coach you and tell you exactly how to do this. So just get out of your own way and go for it. And that's what I got is I saw all these other, for me, it was women because I was a mom and I resonated with the women. I saw all these other women thriving here. And I'm like, if they can do it, they're no more special than me. Like these women looked amazing. I didn't know them. They looked great. But what I saw was that they all had this light turned on behind their eyes. They all had this like excitement, joy, playfulness. Like they had like, and me, I was just like this wilting flower over here in motherhood. And they were just like lit up and traveling and with their kids and having this thing, this other reality. And I was like, whatever they're doing, I want it. I don't know what they're doing, but I want it. I want it. And I thought, Brooke, worst case scenario, like I said, you get the water, you've got nothing to lose. Your life already sucks. So what I did was, and it didn't really suck. I shouldn't really say that, but that's how I felt in the moment. Yeah, that's how I felt in the moment. And for me, I put it on a credit card. That's what I did. I was lucky that I had decent credit. I put it on a 0% interest credit card. I'm like, I know I wanted to borrow someone else's money. I didn't have any money to borrow anyway. So I would have figured out a way, no matter what. Like, this is the thing. We find a way or we argue for our excuses and we stay stuck. It's one or the other. And for me, I love that we live in the United States where we can have 0% interest credit cards. So I just put it on a credit card and then I paid it off and I was in profit by month 3. And now I'm in profit for the rest of my life. And that is unbelievable. People are like my old overhead in that other business, the one time I made 6 figures, my overhead every single month for my rent for my office space was $2,500, right? And there were more expenses than that. Here, my overhead for my business is my Zoom account and my subscription to our online platform, which is $99 a month, which is also a tax write-off. Everything's a tax write-off anyways when you're an entrepreneur, but that's my overhead. And to know that and to see the compensation plan and see what is here, it's like, people don't believe it. That's why they go, it's too good to be true. It can't be true. It can't be true. It can't, because it feels like a magic Kangen water, Mr. Oshiro, the vision of this company, they just went here. We just want everyone to thrive, like here. They're just so generous and so all about heart and vision and purpose in the world. And it's change your water, change your life, but also change your bank account. Change your bank account, change your life, right? Because the water changes your bank account. So it's all connected.
My business partner, my farming partner, always tells people about the vision first, because when people hear about the generosity, when I heard about it, my eyes get a little squinty, and I was like, yeah, why are they doing that? But when you hear about Oshiro's experience in Sony and what he had to go through, I was like, oh, it's actually spite and vengeance. It just has a positive flair on it. And that makes it a little more human, where, he actually he got back at a large corporation by just being ultra successful and making everyone under him ultra successful. So that made it a little more human when it wasn't like purely altruistic. And I was like, oh, okay. There was a little bit of, I can just make it so no one else has to deal with this corporate structure ever again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And may I share that when I was in Las Vegas just a couple months ago, I sat in this giant room with over 300 people who had all hit legacy income. All of us were in this. I was like, and I had just hit it. I'm like, oh, do I really get to go in this room? Like, I get to go in this room, and like the vibration and the energy in that room of people who are not in, who are operating in a different way in their success of their business. It was really, really, really inspiring, to say the least. But yes, we recognize that what I recognized in that moment. And one of the things that I learned is that Mr. Oshiro bought a friggin' mountain. He bought a mountain to plant freedom trees. So everybody that hits -3, which is the legacy income, gets a tree planted in their family honor, a family tree. He bought a mountain for these trees to be planted. Like, this is his vision for his 500-year, business plan of this company. And when you it's interesting that I think a lot of us, we don't have the experience to really work and be around visionaries like this. So it requires us to even like put on the different colored glasses and consider it from a new point of view. And when you're around him and when you're around other successful people, you start to recognize what's actually possible and how more people are living. And which is why it's so important that you get a community of like-minded people around you, which is a crucial part of why this business is so successful. We have this global team of over 10,000 people all around the world. And it's vital that you want to, if you are an entrepreneur and you want to be successful, you got to stay what we call close to the fire, around other people who are doing it and having the success, so that you see it's possible for you too.
I love this conversation so much. And yeah, Oshiro's story, and just feeling a lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, this is a global company, and they think it's like some large corporation, and it's still so family run. Like the mom and dad, mom and pa shop feeling that you get when you walk into like those old, because they're very few and far between anymore in Southern California, the mom and pa shops. But when you walk in, and just like, you've been running this for like 40, 50 years, right? I know, I'm just visualizing one in Ocean Beach where, the owners are like literally in their 80s, and they opened it, 50 years ago. That's kind of how you feel when you walk into, especially an event with these run by these people, because it is a global network, right? 100+ countries, but the family or like feel of our company is what I absolutely love. And just the fact that you can actually talk to the owner. Like, he doesn't necessarily speak English, but you'll talk to his translator, but you can talk like right there in person. He'll engage with you in conversation. He cares so much about each individual person. And that's what I love about it. Even more so after going to these events, you're just like, it just keeps getting better and better, right? And like,
it does
grow. And like you said, being in this room. So I love to go back to like being in this room. Okay, so when you first got started, that was on your vision board, but then now that it's actually real, like like, what are you like, how did it feel to walk in there and then walk across stage, and now you actually are getting the checks? Because this is recent. This is this year that she's made legacy income. She's 51. She gets to have it for the rest of her life. She's going to live like another 100 years. Look like you're 21. So, and in person, she looks like she's 21 too, not just on camera. And so like, how does that feel to be able to just have access to something that's so family run, but also such a massive impact for your whole legacy?
How does it feel? Honestly, I'd be lying if I said it doesn't feel a little, like, it still feels a little surreal to me, because it's only been a couple of months. And I was so focused on it, and it happened so quickly. I thought, because I was told, right, that if I focused on this and really built this and stayed consistent, that I could get to legacy income 3 to 5 years, generally speaking. That's about how long it takes. And when you think that other people spend 30 to 40 years working for somebody else to build their business, to maybe have a pension, if they're lucky, if you don't have to get a mandated vaccine in order to get your pension, don't even get me started on that. But the point is, this was, it's just paradigm shift. That's all I can say. It's paradigm shift when it actually happened. And when I walked across the stage, and I remember coming off the stage, and my sponsor grabbing me, and she whispered in my ear, and she's like, you did this, like, you're past, like, you just created a legacy for your family, for your children, like, everything's different for your family from this moment on. And I burst into tears, and I was just like so overcome with gratitude and appreciation and the wow factor. And then all I could think about was how I want so many more people, all the women and men on my team. You know, I want everybody to walk across that stage. I want everyone to have this experience. I want everyone to know it's possible. And this is what we do here, right? We go first. This is how leadership works. You go first, and then you pave a way for more people. And so I feel so grateful to be here, to be able to share my story and to help other people recognize that if I can do it, you can too. I didn't have any special skill sets. And guess what? We all start at the beginning. Every single person started at the same place. We all start at the beginning, and we grow and grow and grow. But even if you can put in, 2 hours a day for the next couple of years, like, why would you not? Why would you not spend a little bit of time every day to build something that can pay you for the rest of your life, and then pay your children for the rest of your life? And it's, I don't think it's really landed the way it will in another 10 years as my kids get older and I start recognizing. But my kids know what's happened. They were with me the whole step of the way. My son Ocean, who's 13, he's like, "So Mom, wait." And I'm like, "Yeah, Ukon." I'm just sharing it with him, and he's all about like, whoa, he's a Taurus. He's all about the money too. Me too. I'm a Taurus. And but he, like, they get it, but they don't quite get it. And it doesn't matter. The point is, like, it is one of the most exquisite feelings in the world to know that this is no longer like this monkey on my back that I have to worry about. And instead I get to now really even take it up a notch in terms of growing and expanding in new ways with hope and possibility. So it does nothing but lay the framework for like another layer and another layer and another layer, which is what this human experience is all about, right? We're all here for the evolution of our soul. That's it. And it's a beautiful way to evolve through a business like this, with community, like-minded people that are visionaries and want to change the world, and knowing that we have something that has the proven duplicatable systems that are already set up, so anybody can come in here and plug in. Like, it just doesn't matter what your skill set is. We can all learn a new skill set.
I love that so much. And it reminds me back to in the beginning of our conversation, talking about suffering as a mom, right? Like, before you got started in this, and the excruciating weight of financial stress. Like,
Yes.
it's so much weight, and people don't, like, yes, we think of it on our back, we think of it on our shoulders, but think about the amount of mental space this takes.
So much.
I'm constantly thinking about it. And then as your kids are asking for things, I'm the same way. I wanted to imprint abundance consciousness even as a single mom, like living off of food stamps, but I just didn't have the tool. I didn't have the vehicle. And so now, having the vehicle, having the tools, having the community, the support, the software, all of it, like you said, it's just like, it's a plug and play system. It meets you where you're at. You have the community. So how does it feel? Because before, you did entrepreneurship journeys, and you probably help people in a multitude of ways with their health and their mental mindset. Now, being able to change someone's legacy and lineage financially. So we talked about how it makes you feel to help you and your family change financially. How does it feel to now have like the framework, the actual vehicle to help all of these other people, like you said, all these other parents, leave the suffering paradigm and move, like you said, you've gone through so many paradigm shifts, but how does it feel to actually have the tools and the wherewithal, the structure, all of it, to be able to hand to somebody to get out of the very similar circumstances you were in 5 years ago?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I kind of feel like Santa Claus. I really do. Like, I feel like anybody that comes to me, I'm like, here you go, like, here you go. Like, it's so simple. It is the easiest business model that's ever been born, as far as I'm concerned. But the trick is that it's not. So the business model is easy. The hard part is what's between our two ears, right? The hard part is what people come with. The hard part is, how do you help people release their past and step into their self-worth and find their voice and heal from the failures or like all the things that have happened in our lives. Every choice that we've made has led us to where we are right now. Every single choice in our life, like radical self-responsibility is the way to personal expansion, in my opinion. But if we know that every decision has brought us to where we are, then it's pretty simple to recognize, okay, if I want my life to be different, I need to be making different decisions. But then people get really caught, right? They get really caught in their own loops and not knowing, and the fear and the scarcity and the limitations and all of this stuff. So what I love so much is I love that I feel like I have a giant gift. I feel like it's a gift. I feel like anybody that reaches out to us, anybody that says, hey, I want to learn more, I'm like, we have the gift. We have the golden goose here. Here you go. Here's for you. This is for you. And then the question is, and the choice that everybody has to make is, am I going to stay stuck in this life, or am I actually going to leap and move forwards and move past the fear? Because fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Fear is all of our past. If we're living in fear, we're not living in the present moment anyways. So it's really all about the evolution of our spirit and our soul. And when you get a business that is handed to you, I feel like I get to be like a little bit like the Wizard of Oz. You know, it's a little bit like the Wizard of Oz. Like we have you just have to look behind the curtain. But this time when you look behind the curtain, you're going to see that it's actually you. Like it's actually you behind the curtain. You're the one that gets to change your life. You are the Wizard of Oz. And so you actually get to come in here and build whatever you want. And there are no limitations on this. And every single person, like we can out earn anybody in this business. It's completely your choice. And I love that I get to feel like Santa Claus, because it feels like I just get to go, come on, like just extend a helping hand and come on and help people overcome their hurdles, and then support them. There's not one person in this business that hasn't said the same thing, which is, my life is completely different. Completely different. And like I said, the money is inevitable, but it's the personal growth and the changing that has to happen first, and then the money comes with it. It doesn't go the other way around, which is why we always share with people, like, this business is 80% inner work. 20% systems, 80% inner work. And we have all the systems. So that means you get to come in here and just work on yourself and just expand yourself and work on your beliefs and work on your money story and figure out, you know, what do you need to heal in your life in order to step more into the version of you that is so ready for something different.
I love that. So Mind Valley is a company that I pay attention to, and Vishen is the owner of that. He has a book called, actually, I don't remember what it's called, but the theme is bending reality. And whenever I'm around a group of people, mostly just highly successful entrepreneurs, it feels like they play under different rules.
Yes.
And that's what I interpret as bending reality, where I think people in the alternative health world probably have a taste of a paradigm shift, where you just acknowledge that you don't actually have to accept what was handed to you. Do you have any practices specifically that you use to actually just start to become aware of the stories that we were talking about? And how did you actually start to decondition down, and actually just to see the paradigm you were living in, sort of to get out of the fish in water scenario? Were there actual tools or practices that helped you?
Yes, so many, so many. But I'll give you one that's fun, and it's a fun one that anybody can use. It's on mindset. So when I got into this, I used to be in financial services, oddly enough. That was the business that I was like busting my butt in, that I earned my first 6 figures in. It was so silly. But I'm grateful for everything that I learned back then. That was when I was in my 30s, before I was a mom. But when I got here, one of the most incredible things is we know our business, the leaders in our company understand that you have to be willing to change and grow if you want a different life. That's just a given. And we can know, like I said before, that if we don't have the money we want, then there's a money block. There's a money story. There's something there. So one of the things that I learned straight away was how to use an elastic band to shift my money. So an elastic band, I'll show you if you'd like. Oh, I happen to have one. Look at that. I have an elastic band right here in my desk. So this was a massive piece for me to change my limitations around my money. So the idea is that you wear an elastic band. I suggest a thicker one. So if you have the thicker ones like that you get around the carrots from the market, for example, get a thicker one because you want it to hurt. And then people are, that's barbaric. And I'm like, no, what's barbaric is living your fucking life the same way for the next 5 years. That's barbaric. How about learning to change your mindset? So what you get to do is anytime you have a limitation, anytime you have a limiting thought that comes in, like, oh, I can't afford that, or oh, my bank account, let's just take my bank account. Oh my God, you log in and you see that your bank account is lower than you want it to be. And all of a sudden, like limitations. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? The stress, the worry, all these things come in. The minute you have that limiting thought, I can't afford that, you snap yourself. And it needs to snap hard. That's the goal. So when you snap yourself, it's going to create pain in your body and it interrupts the pattern of negative thought, right? And then you do a reframe. Cancel, clear, universe, spirit, God. I don't care who you pray to, whoever it is, it's all good. You can use whatever word you want. Universe or God, I'm ready to see things differently. I actually know that I am ready to receive all the abundance that I'm worthy of. You have another thought. Oh, I can't afford those pants for my son. Cancel, clear, universe. I actually know that that's just not how I'm choosing to spend my money right now, but I have an abundance coming to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's affirmation. So what you do is you snap yourself every single time. The first time that you snap yourself, if you really start catching your limiting thoughts, and I'm talking about limiting thoughts about everything from your body image to what you think you can do, to how capable you are, to like any limiting thought that you have about yourself, you snap yourself because what you're doing is you're interrupting the thought process and your body learns to associate pain with the negative thought. It is the fastest way to shift. I did this with my team just a few weeks ago, and within 3 days, most of them were snapping themselves like 20 to 30 times a day. And then the next day it was like 15 times. And then the next day it was 10 times. And then the next day. And if you do this, if you really take this on and snap yourself for 2 weeks, you will absolutely be shocked at how differently your mind begins to think, because when you associate the pain with the negative thought, it will interrupt it and you'll create new neurons in your pathways so that you can start really changing your life. This was something that I did straight away. I wore an elastic probably for the first year of my business. And any limitation I had about anything, oh, this isn't going to work, or the water's not this, or I can't do that, or I can't do technology, cancel, clear, I'm ready to see it differently. Universe, spirit, I actually know that I am fully capable of learning whatever I want to change my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's one of the most simple recipes that I can suggest that works wonders to change negative thoughts quickly.
Thank you for that. Yeah. People try to do that, and I used to try to do it purely mentally. Like you have to identify you're having a limiting belief and then think about doing it. And it's always has to come back to the body, right? You have to have a tall enough override signal to where you like stop for a minute. And you're like, oh, okay. I just did that. Yeah. It needs to send like a really loud signal.
A really loud signal. Yeah. Here's the thing. If a brick fell on your head every time you had a negative thought, you would clean up your thinking really quickly, right? Like really quickly. If we think about this, and yet most people, we wake up and we have our first limiting thought before we even get out of bed in the morning. And so mastering your thoughts and the way you feel is the single most important thing. That gratitude book, The Magic, if you haven't read it or you haven't talked about this with your people yet, like get The Magic by Rhonda Burns and do the 30-day practice, or it's a 28-day practice, shifting into gratitude every single day. The moment my eyes wake up, I've been doing this for 5 years. I learned it here in this business. I don't get out of bed until I make a list of my 10 things I'm grateful for. We have so much to be grateful for. Shifting your life into gratitude changes everything.
I love all of this. Thank you so much. Stephanie just shared how the rubber band technique helped her 16-year-old daughter. Like, so again, and this is taught by you, taught to her, and then taught to So I just wanted to say the ripple effect is so big within this community. It doesn't matter whether it's the water or the mindset or the money. It's like just the ultimate expansion. So I wanted to, quickly before we get to the finalizing this, you built your business without talking about water. Alex and I, total opposite. We built everything up until this point all about water.
Uh-huh.
So just know, like wherever you are in your journey, this woman, you don't have to follow Alex and I. You can follow whatever path that you want. There are so many different strategies, right, in terms of how this can come about, how you can reach these levels, right? But the number one thing that all three of us did is personal growth.
Yeah.
Right? We got out of our own way. We cooked into the community. We learned new skills. We're constantly learning, right? And absorbing and taking in, learning from people who are in the next step, right? And the next step and the next step, but also turning behind us and being like, okay, this is everything we learned, to all of the people that are looking at us like, okay, what are the next steps? So I wanted to just, before we wrap this up, is there anything that you wanted to share based off of that specifically? How you ran with this? You didn't have to learn everything about the water and
Yeah.
learn about the science and learn about, you just shared authentically from your heart on Facebook probably, and just built your entire business that way.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not clear what the question is.
Okay, so like you just sharing people, that is the truth. Like you actually did not have to learn about the water. You did not.
Right. Yes. Got it.
Like you just did this from the business perspective forward. You did it from the wealth perspective forward, and the personal growth, and you shared mostly on Facebook, and then you built your network, and here you are today with thousands of people in your network just because you said yes. So
thank you for asking that. I only had 700 Facebook friends when I started, so I didn't have this like giant following by any means. I just did what they told me to do. I didn't like figure anything out. Okay. I didn't figure anything out. I just was really freaking coachable, and I worked on myself. I just followed. I used to be an athlete, so I love being coached, and I'm very coachable. And I'm like, all right, Brooke, pull up your bootstraps, be coachable, get out of your own way, stop asking questions about like the doubt, right? I mean, stop asking questions around the doubt. They would tell me to do this, that, and I'd be like, why? And I'm like, don't even ask why, just do it. Just do it. They're not going to lead you astray. They're telling you what to do in order to move your life forward. So for me, I just thought, I can be coachable. I can be coachable. I can be told what to do. I actually like being told what to do. And so tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that's the blueprint. You don't have to figure anything out. We have people coming in here. We have had people come in here that don't even have a Facebook account, and they set up a Facebook account and they started doing Facebook ads, and they built this to 6 figures. And then we have people that come in with a huge following and all kinds of limiting beliefs. And guess what? They don't move as fast. Like we see all kinds of people from every single different walk of life. And it doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter if you know any of this stuff or don't know any of it. Once you build a personal brand, you can monetize it so many different ways. We teach you how to do all of it, and nobody can ever take it away from you. There's no way of losing is the bottom line. That's how I see it. There's no way. And you get to learn what resonates with you. I didn't want to talk about the water because I didn't want to be a water person, and I'm not into science. It's not the way my brain works. I knew I wanted to drink the water. I love the water. I'm a total water snob. I would never drink anything else. We bring our water everywhere with us. My kids are making fun of me all the time. Mom, you're bringing water. I'm like, yes, I'm bringing water. I'm always bringing water. We don't drink restaurant water. We're total water snobs. And I still have never, not once in 5 years, had a conversation about the water. If you ask me right now, how does this water work? I'd be like, I could probably fumble my way through explaining it, but I don't like it. It doesn't bring me joy. What brings me joy is talking about hope and possibility. What brings me joy is talking about the things that light me up. And this is the power of building a personal brand. So for anyone who's listening, I just want you to know you can do it however you want, and we will show you both paths. There's even more than 2 paths. There's lots of paths. You get to do what resonates the most with you. And there's nobody that can't learn a new skill set.
there's an agricultural path too. I won't go into it now, but
Oh
the
gosh, yeah.
same fire that I hear from you is we have a 23-year-old, another podcast episode, AJ Olson, and he found it, and it was he does centropics and agroforestry,
Mhm.
and he found it, and he was like, I can eliminate chemicals.
Yes.
And that when he found the business behind it, basically the overwhelming message I got off the podcast was, I can't lose.
Yeah.
Just like you said, like if I just do
And
this in
yeah,
my passion anyway, he's 23. There's
right.
zero way he can lose. And his social
Ah,
media reflects that. But
yeah,
whenever people in their early 20s, like out of the college age, whenever they
I
find it,
know.
I'm like, I wish
Mhm.
I had found this 10 years ago.
Oh, me too. Me too. We have so many people in our community, right, who are in their 20s and
Yeah.
30s that are going to be at legacy income before they're 35.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it's so exciting when I see young people too that get this. And then all the children that we get to share it with. Like my son already, he's been watching for the last 5 years. He's like, so could I do this? And I'm like, absolutely, you could do this. I can show you how to do this if this is what you want to do. I have zero desire for my children to ever go to college and get a job. I hope they never do. If they want to, that's fine. I'll support them no matter what. But I won't support them going to college. They'll be handling that themselves. I'm not paying for that. But the point is they get to choose, that everybody gets to choose. And this is the life that we have, is like we all get to choose. Are you choosing struggle, or are you choosing joy, playfulness, hope, and possibility? Struggle is optional.
I love this conversation. And I just wanted to just really light this fact up. She was coachable. She came in with an open heart, open mind, and was just like, show me the way. Let's do this. Let's do this together. And her community held her hand, supported her through this whole thing. And here she is holding so many other people's hands and leading the way, like she said, just reaching out that hand. So how can people find you on social media? What's the best place for them to find you? Is it Facebook?
It's only Facebook. I got on Instagram a couple years ago and I was like, I don't like that. So I got off. And this is the thing, you get to choose. I'm like, I really didn't want a business. I didn't want to be on social media all the time. Now I'm not on social media much at all. But you can find me on Facebook. Absolutely. It's really the only place you can find me. And now I'm semi-retired. I don't want to keep working. I want to go enjoy my life and have fun. So I really focus on my leaders, and I lead mentorships for people that want to come in and learn it. And otherwise I'm very hands off and just loving my life, which is really what it's all about. I'm like, I want everybody to know that they do not have to work. You do not have to keep working and hustling and grinding. Like, we are here to be joyful and to have fun and to contribute in the ways that we want, and to have the freedom to have the life that we truly, truly desire. This whole like work until I'm 65 now, I think they've upped the retirement age to 67. Is it 67 now? I'm looking at these older people that are 67. I'm like, this is when you're supposed to start your life, like enjoying your life. It just makes my heart hurt. So
a little bit of money, right? Like retirement for them is like you get this fixed income for the rest of your life. Retirement for you is your income is going to just grow and grow and grow. So she's taking time away, right? She took a whole year off and she still is able to accomplish this, but she's taking them away, partially retired, and her income will grow and grow and grow, and it'll compound. By the time her children get it, it'll just be like, again, they will just have the sky's limit. It's already that way. So is there any final words you want to say before we hop off? Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my pleasure. No, it's been an absolute joy. I'm just excited for anybody that this helps, anybody that hears this, that this helps. If your heart is, beating a little bit faster and you're feeling a little nervous, but something is calling you forward, listen to that. That is the most important thing. We have to learn to listen to our hearts and our intuition more. Listen and move forwards. You don't have to know the way. You just have to leap, and the rest will be revealed. That's how it goes. Successful people don't wait. There's never a right time, ever, ever, ever. It will never, ever, ever feel like there's ever a right time to have a baby, right? Like, no, we have a baby. We get pregnant, we have a baby, okay? So there's never a right time to start a business either. It's never going to feel like it's the right time. So I just suggest to leap. Just leap. Get the water. It's going to improve your energy and your vibration anyways, which is only going to give you that much more energy to create your life in all the ways that you can. And I just want everyone to know what's possible. That's my words. That's my words of wisdom, is don't listen to the limitations. Just, it was Richard Branson, right, who said, successful people, if they don't know what to do, they'll say yes, and then they'll figure it out as they go. And so just say yes to your life, say yes to possibilities, say yes to getting a legacy income, say yes to like changing things. There's absolutely nothing to lose. And I feel just a lot of excitement for everyone who says yes. And December, I know we're still in November, but November and December are the two biggest months of our business. And the people that I know that have hit legacy income, it's quite interesting. Most of the people I know that hit legacy income started in December. Isn't that interesting? I've taken some polls recently. It's really kind of cool because I think people get to the end of the year and they don't want the end of the year they don't want to end the year where they started. So there's this idea that December people go on holidays, and that's not the truth at all. December is a month where people are really reflecting on their life and wanting to change things. And if you want to change things, we are here to welcome you in. Everyone is welcome, and everybody has the same opportunity to change things.
Powerful words.
So much. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, my daughter just walked in, but I started my business December 31st.
You did? Oh my gosh.
Like I was told I would be grandfathered into the training if I joined before the first of the year, and I waited and waited. I was so scared, terrified. You have a surprise for me. I could not imagine.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Thank you, Brooke.
Wow, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for making it through the podcast, everyone. I really hope you got something from it. If you're all curious about learning about the vehicle that our guest described, the opportunity that we all take part in, and the dramatic shifts in energy, in freedom, in financial status, in just the ability to live and enjoy our everyday lives that we all talk about, feel free to contact one of us below. I'll have a link in the notes to take you to give you a little more information. But the opportunity that we're in is really one of a lifetime, and with as little as 2 hours, like a lot of our guests talk about, a day of consistent work, you can almost guarantee yourself a dramatic form of legacy, which is what a lot of us are looking for, taking that worry out of the 5 to 10 years, smoothing out the future a little bit, and letting ourselves live a little more to just feel more fully alive. Until the next episode, thank you so much.